before we get to the final tribal and all that's involved with that, we wanted to do something that we've all liked, and Survivor has decided that they don't. We're going to have you do a little rites of passage. So we're going to have the two of you walk out the backside of tribal, and camera person will go with you. You're going to encounter torches with the name tags of all 22 people who have been voted out before you.
Awesome.
So stop along the way, say a little something,
all right.
And when you return, we'll get to the business of final tribal council.
All right.
Leave your stuff. Right now? Or is it just this? Okay, not until they get back.
Jason was a good guy. I mean, he was super passionate about this game, and you could tell. And we had a lot of laughs around the fire that first night, and he really helped keep our fire going all night. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I talked to him got a couple chances to talk to him. He was so passionate, and like you just tell he so badly wanted to be here. And I think even going out for it, I think he still enjoyed the experience just because he's that big a fan. And,
right. Yeah. It's a tough one, but someone has to be the first.
Yeah.
Sweet Donna. Oh my God, Donna was so amazing. I instantly recognized her as the Survivor yellow dress lady. I mean, she is a ball of fun, and she's the kindest heart, and boy, is she crafty. She was too good. That's why I decided to, bite the bullet and just do Donna, because if she got far, she would have been super, super dangerous. I mean, the woman brushed her teeth with a tampon.
Bruce.
Brucey.
Bruce. He's a character. I feel like he had quite the dichotomy of seemed like this brutish, older dude, but he was just like a sweetheart, really, from my experience talking to him and stuff.
He was the one who gave me I might not get along with this guy, and the first thing he says is I go to 6 Broadway shows a year, and I was like, dude, we have a connection. But that was
spirits.
Right, and it was the last thing I got to say to him, because I was hoping to at least pick his ear a little bit about that and form some kind of connection, but he seems, he seems like he's Bruce.
He is Bruce. That's really all you can say. Oh, Stephanie, she is a ball of energy. She has just got a story for everything. She was so much fun. I think in a different situation, she wouldn't necessarily been voted out so quick, but she was great to talk to. She has a lot of she's done a lot of stuff with her life, and she was just a lot of good conversations with her personally.
I mean, Stephanie is the reason why I've been checking my underwear every day for leeches, and I can't thank her enough for that. She seems like a cool lady. I didn't get to really know her that well, but she seems like a tough cookie.
She for sure was. She was a badass. This one felt really bad. I don't know, but obviously I don't know this unless I looked later, but I think I was her top person she wanted to work with. It just kept going. I didn't think we would have to keep voting out our own, and I really wanted to work with her further, but it just wasn't in the cards, unfortunately. She's great though. She knows everything about literally, she knows everything about Survival Challenge and everything about Survivor. She went all out preparing for this. I really wish she got more of an experience, but I hope she enjoyed it anyway.
She seems sweet. I know it was her second time playing, and she really wanted to, do better than she did last year.
But from talking to the bit that I did, she was really interesting, really cool, just down to earth. I thought, I guess from what I heard, she just went really hard in the paint in her original tribe, which happens. But and she was also taking care of Stephanie when Stephanie was really not feeling well, and that was really cool to see that. She was forget the game, I just want to make sure you're good.
What to say about this guy? I mean, he is an awesome dude. I mean, he's a bundle of energy, and I think that was kind of his downfall in this game, because he's a talker and he talks a lot, and I think he was talking to everybody, and everybody started to see it, and he was super passionate about this game, you can tell. And
when I talked to him, he was super cool. I loved talking to him. He was one I was looking forward to hopefully catching it at the later stages too, just because I thought he'd be someone to potentially work with and just kind of get to know better, because he seemed like a good dude. Felt like we had a lot in common too, probably. Willie, get to talk to me. Oh man.
Deeply spoke to him.
Yeah, this was when they asked me my one, if I had a regret. I sort of want to say voting him out was, but obviously I'm here now, so I don't want to say that. I had a good connection with Lance. He's such a good dude, and he's so funny, and he's really good at this game. He's so easy to talk to and get along with. Like, he was great, and I wanted that later on in the game because I felt like that was a good shield because I was scared of my target. But also I got along well with him. I think we had a really good bond, and it just really sucked. He was just kind of the odd man out at that moment.
Scene.
I really didn't get to talk to her very much. I know she had a foot thing, but she seemed like really perky and like really cool. And I didn't know where, like, she was just, I don't know if she was in or out, but she just seemed to really be enjoying herself because she was always smiling every time we walked up to do whatever.
But she seems like a super sweet, super fan of this. So.
Yeah. That I could definitely tell. She was definitely a fan. So, and
Becca was so awesome. I mean, it was unfortunate that we had to go to tribal council again.
yeah.
But I mean, if you get to talk to her more, she is
I can't wait to,
totally
honestly.
awesome. She's
Yep.
fun. She's bubbly. She's chill and down to earth.
If anybody had like a bigger smile all the time, rolled the things than Christine, it was Becca. Like, she just looked like she was having so much fun. And I'm like, how are you like this happy? We're not eating. Like, this sucks, but it's fun. But it still sucks, but it's still fun. Colin, oh my God. I'll just say he's so fun. It's crazy in this game. Like, it was so great because, and he knows he was, but he overplayed so much. He was in such good shape, but just kept overplaying, and that's what ended up getting him out at this moment. Regardless, I enjoyed talking to him. So, like, he's one of the top few people I just love talking to, and he was just fun to play with and fun to watch play, just because it was nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, Brendan.
I'm glad he's feeling better.
I know. Oh my God, dude. I didn't know what to make of him because someone had said he was kind of arrogant, cocky or whatever. But the time I had to talk to him, he was like the sweetest dude. Like, he was really nice. I didn't get that the cockiness from him, maybe slightly, but really I thought he was great.
He seemed super fun, and I enjoyed his stories about home and how he didn't even tell his mom that he was here.
Right. Oh my
he's
God.
He's another cool dude, and the pivotal moment between red and blue working together. So
he was just that first casualty. He honestly could have possibly slipped potentially instead of a few other people, but
totally.
just how it worked out. At first, I didn't get to, it was tough talking to him, getting conversation going. But then I found out what his job was, and I'm a huge baseball fan, and he's a baseball mascot, so we started talking baseball nonstop, and he's like a teddy bear, man. He's super nice too. I love to get to know him some.
Austin was one of those players that just had what felt like a dark cloud around him of mystery. And
Right. Yeah,
I wanted him sooner rather than later
I did
because
too.
He had
Could not
apparent
read them.
advantages or
Right.
information. So I'd gotten wind that he had done a bunch of these. So
Yep.
I was like,
Heard that
get
too.
him out while we can.
Yep. Luke. Oh my God.
This was a tough one. But I mean, he's another awesome guy. He was super bummed that he went here, but it's only because he would have slipped further and no one would have looked at him.
When he was getting voted out, I tried really hard to not make that happen. I tried to rally the votes for Justin, but everyone kind of was they were I don't know if we can just pull that trigger right now. I'm like, I actually worked my ass off, but it
That's
did
so
not.
interesting. I
It
didn't
did
know
not
you
work
knew.
out. Yeah. So he's such a good dude, and obviously sister-in-law Travis. Oh man, he's a really big fan. He's such a good dude. He started off so solid, he was just even keel, level-headed, seemed like a really good ally, and then he was cruising, made merge, and then all of a sudden he just kind of kicked it into way too high gear, and that I think was ultimately his downfall. And
Ironically, he went when he was supposed to go.
right. Yeah, I thought it was actually good for me.
Because he wasn't supposed to go
too.
here. He was supposed to be Sam.
Right. It was unfortunate. He was kind of that crazy tribal council that was insane. But I think he enjoyed that.
Speaking of
Oh my
Sam,
God,
Sam, I am.
Wow.
I mean,
Maybe the second fan favorite behind another, but
she was so much fun, and I really wanted to work with her, but I could see that the target was glowing around her, and I mean, she was a hell of a player. So,
But dude, she actually, I would probably have said she was my closest ally when this started, but I could tell pretty quick she was really reaching out a lot to people, and she was spreading, and so that quickly I was like, I think I need to separate myself, and I knew I didn't like doing it, but I knew I needed her out to get further and to fall further off the radar.
Julia.
She is so like calm, cool, collected. She just seems just like, she's really cool to talk to. Like, she's easy to talk to. She gets along with everybody. She's like not too timid, but not too over the top. She ended up turning into my top ally for sure, and I didn't necessarily expect that when it started. But that's what ended up happening.
You know, she had that really good skill of making everybody feel special, and like they were the person that, you know, that we were going to get the information to. And thankfully we didn't go to tribal last night,
Right.
because I think this would have been where my torch was sitting, opposed to where
Probably.
hers. And I think she undid her own game throughout the night.
Justin, wow, speaking of good players.
I mean, what can I say about Justin? I mean, he was one of the people that throughout this entire game, it was me, Justin, Gracie, and you know, unfortunately I started to see some signs of disloyalty from Justin, so that made me kind of take my foot off the gas. But I hope he doesn't take it personally, because I really did enjoy playing with him and, you know, spending time with him and talking with him. He's another super fan who knows so much about. He would catch my little references to the game that, you know, everyone else was just kind of like blank stares.
When the merge started, I quickly realized he is running the show. He was so solid. He could have easily gotten here had chips fallen a little differently, but I think it just too tip of the threat. We had to get rid of him. Rachel.
She was somebody that I did enjoy working with, and even though we didn't start out on the same tribe, when we did mingle and everything, it was always, you know, great talks of how we should work together, and you know, she made me laugh so much. And she was like the chillest girl I've ever met in my entire life.
She is my fellow teacher. She's just really cool. I mean, there's nothing bad to say about her. She was
fierce competitor.
She is so fierce, dude. She did that blindfold challenge so quick.
Yeah,
I was
my
like,
God.
oh my God, you are sick, nasty at this
crazy.
game. But she could have scooped by you and turned and gotten.
Oh, Gracie, this one hurts my heart.
Yeah, if I'm with you.
I mean, from the second I met her, I knew that we were going to bond together and that I wanted to play with her. And she was the person I said was my ride or die, and I've stuck to that as far as I could, because she was the person who would help me and give me information, and you know, we would give each other information and watch out for each other. And I mean, the end of the game I could tell was, you know, tough on her, because she's such a good person that she felt bad lying, and we're going to be friends after this for sure, because we had the same experience together, even if she was throwing my name out earlier on, and perhaps that was why her torch is here.
Dude, she was literally, she's up there. She's one of the top couple favorite people I've met so far. She was unbelievable. She's one of the nicest people I think I've ever met in my life. Like, she's so cool.
She's a fierce
so
mama
freaking
too,
cool.
you know, like
Oh yeah, she is.
she's a great player. David,
Oh man.
such a class act. He's cut from the same cloth, obviously, as Bob. So, I mean, he was a social player, a strategic player, a physical player. He was the perfect package for this game.
I think he landslide would have won. It's unreal he got to this point, because
Yeah.
he was such a big target right when the merge started, but he just had those social connections. He was so calm about everything. He was just easy to talk to. It's like, all right, I can put some trust in this guy, and a little more trust, but then this is what it came down to. He just couldn't. He almost won that Final Four challenge too, and would have been here, or at least at 3, and maybe probably would have won that last one too.
He wins in my heart.
Oh, Bobby! Oh man,
I
I don't know if he beats us, but he had a good shot to win if he was sitting here. He was kind of quiet and shy to start. Kicked it in right when he needed to, and just built his resume really quick. And I think a few rounds ago, it might have been a different choice. I might have been bringing him, but he killed it the last few rounds, and he made sure the only time he would possibly go was like here at 3.
Yeah.
And this is the final 3. He was looking great.
I mean, he's such a nice dude. I mean, him and David, ironically, I didn't really get to touch base with strategically a lot in the game, because our paths never really crossed. And it wasn't because I didn't want to work with them, because I liked them both so much. I'm glad we did get to spend some more time together as we got, you know, down to fewer people, because they're both freaking great guys.
They really are. They really are.
They should be
neither
super
of them
proud
any
of how they
bitter.
played.
Yeah, they were great. He was great dude too. I hope to talk to him a lot too.
Bring our jury back in. Both Brendans are coming. Bobby voted out at the last tribal council. So Louie, Anthony, you know how this goes. You guys have gone as far as you can on your own. The power now lies over there with the jury. Your job is to convince them why you should be the winner of Survival Challenge 2019. I'm going to let each of you make an opening statement. The jury is going to each get the chance to ask you one question each or make a statement. It'll be interactive as long as it's productive. And then right after they're done, they have all their information, I'll ask them to vote. Anthony, why don't you get us started?
All right, stand or sit? What do you want?
Whatever you like.
All right, I'll sit. Hey guys, what's going on? So I'll just jump right into it. Coming into this game, what I was probably expecting sort of happened right at the beginning. I figured I would be 6'3" athletic dude, so I probably needed to tone down the challenge strength stuff. But that didn't happen right at the jump. I knew immediately, like 2 challenges in, I was like, I want to be looked at as a physical threat for sure. The other thing I knew I needed to do coming in was kind of play as aloof as possible, as like a more physical guy. So that's why I was joking, like you guys in my original tribe, you know, and all of you. No, I was just joking around all the time, trying to seem like not that like savvy, that strategic, like that like over the top of a player. So I joked around as much as possible. Not that I was faking it, but that's who I am. But I like just did more of it than I might have in a more serious setting. But as it got down to it, beginning of the game, I found myself in great position. I think if we whittled down even further than 4, I think I was in good shape still. We merged. Before merge, I think I made some connections outside of that I thought were potentially going to help me along the way. We ended up merging and we had our red and blue connection, and I knew I could rely on that for a little bit. Pretty quickly, and starting like at 12, I tried to shake things up, but couldn't really get too much footing with that right away. I tried to get traction for that at 12, but people were kind of a little shaky about starting that quick. But as it got down to it, what I realized I needed to do was I actually needed my fellow blues to start to go. Unfortunately, I didn't want you guys to go, but I knew that was my best bet to get better footing, because I didn't feel in control at all when the merge started. I wasn't making decisions, I was going along with it. Part of that was because I knew I was threatening coming in. I knew I was. So I couldn't be out there going hard. I couldn't. And so I had to stay back a little bit and sort of let chips fall a little bit, let it get whittled down. I actually thought the Luke vote, I tried really hard to not have it be you. Didn't work, obviously. I thought that was a bad turning point in my game. I thought I was not too much longer for the game, but then what I realized started happening was my fellow 3 original blues started and I was catching wind of you guys were really going really strong, talking to other groups, the original groups, and names were starting to come up, and I knew my name was still out there. So when I saw that, I was like, I need to lay back again and once we eventually start getting targeted, I can't let it be me, because I think when the merge started, it probably would have been me first. So that ended up working out. I didn't necessarily want you guys to go back to back to back, but in the end of the day, I think it actually worked out. When they were happening, I was like, this actually is probably good for me. I didn't necessarily plan those. Sam, I kind of sort of was not in charge, but I was a pretty big factor in that happening. I'm sorry. but I think it needed to happen for me to succeed. Then at 7, when 7 hit, I don't know how true this is, but I was fairly confident I could at least get to 3, and possibly 2. I didn't feel, as the immunity started coming, I didn't think I needed to win most of those 6 and 5 and or whatever the last 3 necessarily. But that's when I started turning on the jets. I didn't necessarily throw challenges along the way, but I didn't give my 100% because I kind of figured I should probably whittle myself down. I did drop intentionally in the reward challenge. I also, there's a couple others I'm trying to remember that I intentionally, the balancing one, a couple of the balancing ones I intentionally dropped because I didn't want to seem too scary going forward. But yeah, I think I set myself up really well with relationships and the people I talked to, and just kind of not appearing as threatening as the game wore on, to make sure I was surrounding myself with people that would actually take me here, is when it came down to the fact that it didn't seem like anybody was really the GOAT to bring or something like that. So look forward to your questions.
Go ahead, Louie.
How did this happen? Coming into this game, first of all, I want to say thank you all. This has been so much fun, and a reason why this has been so much fun has been because I got to play with every single one of you. And coming into this game, I knew that I was a big personality. I can't hide that. I have to be who I am. And my strategy coming in was to find a core group of people that I can work with the overall goal of get as far as you can. And when I first hit the beach at Upon, I went the beach. We're at the resort. When I hit camp at Upon, I immediately started feeling out who can I have the best connections to, who I think are going to be beneficial to me moving forward, who's giving me good energies and good vibes. And for me, my gut was telling to just trust Gracie and Justin, which is what I did for as long as we could trust each other. For sure knowing that at some point things might get scary and we'd have to turn on each other. The beginning of this game for me was tricky because I didn't want to be overpowering because that would put a target on my back, but I somehow kept finding myself in like these hero roles in the challenges, or starting fires, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to pump the brakes, because people are, on top of just being a funny, likable person, they're going to see all these extra things and start putting the puzzle pieces together. So the second day comes, and my strategy on the second day was to really scale it back. I knew that Upon and Kia were going to start working together to start whittling down the Zikas, because it just made sense number-wise. I wanted to float back a little bit and let some people take the reins while still being in the majority of the votes each time, because that would take the heat off of me in case anybody was noticing that in the first day that I was becoming a big target. And I did that. I mean, I also did suck at the challenges, but a lot of that second day was because I was, holding back a little bit to keep the target off of me. I couldn't be a physical threat and a social threat and a strategic threat that early in this game, a game of 24 people. It was too early. Anybody who showed their colors that fast was chopped off. So I did what I could to stay under the radar as best as I can, and that's not very well, to put myself forward in this new way. I had to adapt to the people that were left. And I started making new connections slowly with people. I didn't want to be the person who was running to every single new person that I hadn't met yet, saying like, hey, let's chat about this, let's chat about that, because that too has a risk of being seen as shady. So I stuck closely to Gracie and Justin because that's what I needed to do. No one really saw me going off in a pair or single with other people, because I didn't want people to see me as somebody who was trying to gather information. I was getting my information via other people. Then comes to last night. where my name started to come up at the votes, at the tribal councils. And it made sense. I knew why. I'm a likable person. I understand that. I feel like I do well in front of people, and it's a strength of mine, but a weakness in this game. So if it wasn't for, I think the turning point for me was the Luke vote out. Because as much as I didn't want to vote out Luke, it showed to people that I was willing to turn on my original tribe. And that got the game really shifting into a new gear. I immediately was like, okay, we can't keep going on our oop on people, because then we'll be picked off one by one. So I think the next pivotal moment for me was the Julia vote, because once Rachel won immunity and we had to do the reward challenges, and then Rachel, Gracie, and I were sent back to camp, it was so clear that I was the next person to go. We ran through how many different strategies and configurations of how could we twist the numbers, and almost every single one of them pointed back to me, because that's what I would have done if I was in somebody else's shoes. I even made a fake idol that I was going to pull out. I'm no Bob Crowley, but I was whittling. Oh no, where's the thing? It's a fucking stick. It's a stick. It is a stick. We had an idol clue. Oh, it's in here somewhere. I paid some tape. I tried carving the word idol into it. You know how hard it is to make a fake idol when there's people around? It's very hard. But once we had the night to kind of talk through some more stuff, I felt the heat kind of coming off me a little bit, because I saw Julia was starting to talk to more people and throwing out more names. And I was like, good, let her do that, let her do that, let her see that, let other people see that she's throwing out different names. So this morning, it was either going to be me or Julia, and I could feel it. And I was praying that it wasn't me, just because why would I want me to be me? But that shifted the focus off of me somehow, theoretically, because I did receive votes every single tribal council afterwards. But I was able to use my strengths and my personality to get to where I am right here. I couldn't do it with individual immunity wins. I couldn't do it with advantages. I couldn't do it with idols. I did it, it was because of me. And Survivor is not just a game for me. It is a part of who I am. It's weaved into the fabric of my soul. I've been watching since day one, when I was 7 years old. And as somebody who grew up, who wasn't necessarily always liked and had to use his comedic skills to get himself forward in life, Survivor brings out the best in me, because I can only rely on myself and my instinct. And it's how I've gotten to my profession, where I am in my life, my relationships with people, and it's what got me here right now today. I just had to be me. I didn't have to do anything super big and flashy. You all took care of that for me, and I thank you for that. And I wish I had an idol. I wish I had won immunities, but it wasn't in the cards for me, and I had to deal the hand I was given. And a lot of luck was in store, because it could have been me any of the past 5 rounds. And it wasn't. So I thank you all for playing such a great game, because regardless of how this turns out, it has been an amazing experience.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Jury, we'll get started. Justin?
All right. I just want to make a quick statement. I have a question. So my quick statement is, I knew coming into this game that I wanted to vote for the person who played the best game. So I really encourage you guys to own what you did. Tell us about your moves. Be really articulate, and tell your story, because I hope these guys will come in with an open mind. I don't want either of you to think that you've got this in the bag, because I think we're all coming in with an open mind. My question is, why does the person sitting next to you not deserve to win?
You can decide.
Anthony, why don't you go?
I think he just said it at the end. I think his road here was more lucky than anything, because like he said, that final 8, he was gone. Like, he was absolutely going, but it just happened to be that one round where there was a twist and then a huge gap of time, and I don't think it was his doing that kept him in. I think it was, like you said, Julia started going really hard that night, talking to a lot of people and throwing too many names out, and that's what ended up flipping it. Whereas I think, and I don't think him catching votes was him being a threat. I think it was his alliance he wasn't as tight with them, so they were cool getting rid of him, whereas if my name came up, it was never latched onto, whereas his was. And then towards the end, the perception was that his game was weaker than everybody else, so the target shifted off of him and onto other people. Whereas I think my job was, or I think I just happened to position myself much better, and that's why I got here.
Louie?
Just a quick piggyback off of what he's saying, I do think that there is a lot of luck that comes into this game to everybody. You need luck in order to get to the end of this game. No one gets here solely on their strategic or their physical or social game. That being said, I do think I played a better social game than Anthony did. I think I was somebody who was more in the face of everybody as somebody who they wanted to, chat and come for a pick-me-up when times were getting hard or things were not necessarily... In the public eye, I think I was a better visible social player than Anthony was. And I think that is a strength of mine and a weakness of his, because it was the play I had to do. Anthony had an immunity run. If he didn't win those, who knows where he would go? I didn't have to win any type of immunities to get to where I was. And I do think the votes that I got were because I was a threat. My alliance might have thrown me under the bus, but it's because they were preserving themselves, and they have to do that as well. And I think it's also a lot of luck that challenges that you won. So I think my social game is better, and I think that's why Anthony doesn't deserve it over I do.
Thanks. And Louie, I'm really glad that you're acknowledging luck, because I think it was very lucky that I used my extra vote to save you. Good luck to you both.
Thank you.
Travis?
All right. First of all, congratulations. I'm going to be very generic here, and just what was your biggest move and how to get you here?
I'll start, yeah.
You're good.
I think I said it earlier, but I think the biggest move for me, at least in the back half of the game, was voting out Luke, because it really shook up the game. It showed that the tribe colors could be blended. And from that moment on, you saw the scramble of like, okay, we can blur the lines, we can start playing. It was either Luke or the Julia, because we talked over that strategy of getting rid of Julia the night before during the reward challenge, when the three of us were back at camp after the reward challenge. And luck came into that, because I don't know if I would have been able to pull that off if we didn't have the night and with Julia's help.
I'd say, I guess kind of similarly, mine was probably getting rid of Sam. Again, sorry. But I knew that she was going to end up being a detriment to my game, because she started playing so hard and was in so many ears. And I knew her name would start floating around eventually, and I knew that her getting out was going to be a stepping stone for me to not be as much in the spotlight with the Kia group. So getting that ball, me and Julie getting that ball rolling, I think was really key. I did vote for you, Rachel. That I was the other vote. The reason I did it was because I wanted. I thought just a second vote for you would seem really weird, and I wanted it to seem like either Bobby or David did it to try to shake up like people's thoughts of what was. And I think it at least somewhat worked, because somebody, forget who did it, somebody came up to me and said they were sure Bobby was that vote. So I think it did its job a little bit. It might not have mattered too much, but that was my thought going into that.
Gracie?
Congratulations. Y'all have a lot to be proud of, so good job. My question to you is, if you two were not in that seat, and 2 of the jury members were, which gameplay did you appreciate and would you want to see in those 2 seats?
I think Justin played an insanely good game. Like I said, I was trying to get the ball rolling on getting him out for so long, but he had such good footing that it wasn't even like, it might have been kind of close, but not really that close to happening for a long time. You just want one person?
No, 2.
Oh, 2 people. I would say, man, I think a good balance would be David, because he was just so calm, cool, and collected. He literally came into the merge, before the merge, with such a huge target on him, just for, not only for who he is, I don't think that was that huge of a thing, but just being just such a, like, maybe the nicest dude out here, and just, he was so easily the first vote, but people were like scared, oh, he could have an idol, like he's probably that good, like his dad, but, so I think it would be really fun to see both of them here, and I would have a really tough decision, I think, between them 2.
Gracie, I will say you, because we worked so closely together the entire game, and I was able to be front row to the master class that is Gracie in your social game, your strategic game, your physical game. I think you totally were a package deal. I would love to see you sitting up here, because I would gladly vote for you. Another person I'd gladly love to see up here and vote for would be probably Justin, in the same sense that I was also able to see your game. And although there were times where I saw that, you know, maybe you weren't necessarily being super truthful to me, you were playing the game. And I think people saw that the potential in what you could be, and you did good when you needed to step off the brakes, you did good when you needed to put on the gas. And I think that's also another thing that is tricky to accomplish in a game that moves so fast paced. And I hope that doesn't seem like a cop-out answer, but I spent, 5 days with these people, and I was able to almost know every single thing that was going on. And it truly was, a trifecta for a while. So I would say you two. I would have loved to see a Upon sweep,
Originally I was going to ask Anthony a question, but I think he answered it in his opening statement. Whereas Louis' opening statement raised a lot more questions for me. So you kept talking about like your social game, you're a people person, but you also said that you didn't go off and have conversations a lot, which is exactly what I experienced. I felt like in camp you were super funny, super fun to be around, but we never talked one-on-one unless either Gracie was there or we were just checking in on something that Gracie had already like started. And so I just want to know, like, on my vote out, and this is a little bit of a self-centered question, on my vote out, like, what role did you play? Like, did you say that vote? Because I think if you said it, that was a really smart move on your part. I just don't know. Was that something that you think is your move, or were you just kind of a passenger on somebody else's vote?
I do want to acknowledge that we didn't touch base a lot strategically on the first day. And
Ever.
I mean, yeah. Well, not ever, but especially in the beginning of the game. And it was a lapse in the beginning of my social game. And when you had voted for me and that tribal, it really opened up my eyes, because it was something that I was worried about, but I felt like I was getting good vibes, like, okay, like we can trust each other with the small amount of information of like, we're good, we got the same thing, that we didn't have to have a elaborate conversation.
Okay, see, I didn't get that.
And that's a lapse on me. When it came to your vote, I do think I was one of the people who threw your name out. We were in the pond after a challenge, cooling off, and it was a conversation that was, Gracie was there, I don't remember exactly who else was there, but we were like, this is the time to make the move. And your was the name that I wanted to go out, because I began to see how you were making different connections with other people. And it wasn't a personal thing, because I did enjoy our time together. And I knew that I already couldn't trust you because you had already put my name out. And even though I understood why you did it, if someone was willing to put my name out when it wasn't the plan, that just put the wall up for me. And it made it hard for me to go to you with information fully, because I didn't know what you were going to do with it. Whereas other people that I fully trusted, I knew the information that you needed could get back to you, and vice versa. It's also a two-way street.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you answered my question.
Yeah, thank you. Rachel?
Just to start, I want to reply to both things that you guys said. Austin for the vote that you voted for me. Anthony. Oh my God, I've done that all game. Anthony, the vote that you did for me, it definitely did shake things up. But I thought it was one of you two, either you or Louie. Definitely wasn't Bobby, because you would have played his idol for. I'm just not gonna say any names. And David's a loyal puppy. But he's like the most loyal guy ever. And then for you with the Julia vote, you definitely were willing to strategize, and that was like one of the most fun sessions. But I do think that I mentioned Julia first. Not sure if that's accurate, but I think I did. And I also think I suggested making the idol to you.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that the idol was my idea. It was a spitballing session, the three of us. And that was one of my best memories of this game, is because we very rarely had time to sit down alone and talk strategy with people. And it was so much fun, because that's why we're here. We want to play, the game, and we want to strategize. And that was a group effort. I'm not taking complete ownership of that entire thing.
I just wanted to reply to it since it was mentioned.
Yeah.
Both of you in your openings talked about how you think your game could have been really amazing, but you held back and you went under the radar. When do you think in the beginning you were so amazing that you were like, oh shoot, I gotta hold back? For both of you.
I never thought I was amazing. I hope I didn't use that word. I just think I
just
did.
Sassy. You didn't.
Oh no, it's cool.
Being annoying.
I didn't think my game was super amazing at the beginning necessarily. I just think I came across as a threat very quickly because of those initial challenges. I knew when it was the moment I was standing there with those two things. I was the only one standing with two. I was like, this is really dumb. I should drop now. I literally should drop. I do think I was playing I was doing well with my tribe. I was in really good position in the beginning of the game. And I knew that some of them, like Colin, for example, and Sam, I knew they were very aggressive players. So I knew they would be good to go along with, and I knew I could drop back a little bit when I had to, because they were going to be they would show themselves as the bigger threats than me, the bigger targets than me. So.
I would say coming in, I knew that everybody on my tribe, for the most part, enjoyed my presence being around. I have no issues really getting along with anybody. And that very first challenge we had, it was a swimming challenge. And people immediately saw how good I could swim and keep myself in the water and be active. And then if they think I'm good socially, I have to be careful, becoming too much of a threat. And then throughout the day, I started to show that I knew a lot of Survivor trivia. That's also a dangerous thing. The middle portion of the game was difficult for me. I had to tone back some of that stuff, because I think if I kept going at the rate that I was going in the hero roles of the challenges or whatever, it would have been too much for me to be able to save myself. And I knew I didn't have idols, I didn't have advantages, I didn't know where they were. I didn't have a lot of information. So when I don't have information in this game, I have to pull back and observe. And that's the role I played.
Austin?
So it is Survivor. Everybody has secrets. I'm sure we'll find out after with the reunion show or talking to you after the game. There's a lot of secrets. So what was the biggest secret that you had in the game?
Mine was probably that me and Luke played together. My tribe knew it, but I don't know that anybody else actually knew that we knew each other before. The only reason I said something was because I was pretty sure Lance knew that you didn't. Oh my God. I thought you knew that we played together, so I didn't want it to come out in back channel, so I told them and I was upfront about it. So that was probably the biggest secret. Oh, also, I very much downplayed my Survivor knowledge. I do know Survivor. During the trivia challenge, I said I'd sit out because it was not good. It's not great, but it's solid.
I didn't have any big lies to anybody that, aside from yeah, the vote is this, except it's this. I guess I didn't tell anybody that I have played Survivor New York, which is essentially a smaller scale version of this. So this was to me, it even felt like a whole different ball game. So I guess that was my biggest secret, but it wasn't, anything that propelled or paused the game in any way.
So it seemed that the theme for a lot of the
men this season was to latch onto a strong woman and proceed. Specifically, Anthony, you to me in the beginning, and then Julia once Julia spearheaded the vote of me out, and then Louie, you to Gracie. What is a move that you made without a woman telling you what to do?
Wow. I mean, I'd like to think that me and Julia at that point were working pretty closely. But what I tried to do is put these thoughts in people's ears where like, hey, I'm cool getting rid of Julia. For example, me and Gracie had a talk last night where I basically said, I know Julia's more like, she's killing it right now. Like, I'm willing to make a move. Like, if that's a move, let's do it at some point. Like, if not next, then whenever, let's do something.
So you moved from one strong woman to the other?
I did. You're both strong women.
No, I'm saying from Julia to Gracie.
What?
To make that move.
Not. I mean, you're all strong women.
No, I'm saying like.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily women. I did that with I didn't only do that with women. I did that with plenty of other people. I did that with Justin. I did that with Bobby. I did that with a bunch of people. I did it with Rachel. We had a talk last night too. But another woman. I'm sorry, another strong woman. You're all strong women is the point. I don't pick women versus men in who I work with or who I try to attach myself to in terms of gameplay. But
that wasn't the intent of my question. It was more so just that.
To say a move I'd made.
A move that you made without one of the four of us spearheading it first.
So, I don't know that I tried to spearhead moves, but they did not latch on, and that spoke to me not really being in control at certain points. I tried, it just didn't happen. When I noticed they weren't happening, I knew I had to lay back. So I probably can't say that I spearheaded a move without a strong woman, as you very eloquently put it and correctly put it, spearheading and being a guide. But I was okay with that because I knew it would come back to bite you rather than me when it came down to it. So
I would say outside of my everyday life, I'm naturally drawn to women. My ideal final group of people would be women because I've always gotten along with women, and they're the people. My friends are girls.
I'm glad that you made connections with women. I want to know what you did with.
I understand your question. I'm getting to it. I'm just leading up to it. I just want to let you know that yes, Gracie was my ride or die, and she happens to be a woman, and she did help. We worked together. However, when the Justin vote came, I was a part of getting Justin out. And Gracie knew that I was the swing there to either go to Justin or Gracie. And, whatever way it was going to go. So I had to make moves without Gracie. It didn't have to, I wasn't dependent. The final four was men. I had to be without women. I've always been more of a social person than a physical person. It's just a part of who I am. So I would say that's my vote. That's my move.
I would argue I also helped spearhead the Justin move. I don't think that was. I think he literally just had to choose between those two. It is the wrong word.
But that move wouldn't work if I didn't go with it.
Right. I was pushing that to Orange, and I think they were waiting for the right time, and they knew I had started that ball. I was like, let's do it, and they knew I was down, so they were like, all right, yeah, let's do it now.
Cool. Thanks.
Julia?
Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
It's very clear that people love you, right? So I would really appreciate you stop talking about why, you are such good people, because we know that, and what kind of social game you play, and talk more about your strategy. So that being said, I have two different questions for you. Louie, last night when we were talking, and you had really bad breath in the smoothie.
I'm so sorry.
I know, it was tough. You were being. Okay, we had played through a couple scenarios. We had come back from the reward, and you were there talking about how there's no scenario that it's not me. And I'm sitting there being like, there's 5 of us right here. So I want to know, and then we continued to talk about going for Gracie, which I knew was a bold move. I was trying to get you to make a move if you were going to be in the finals. So tell me, what percentage of that was your strategy in that moment was acting, and how much was it not?
First of all, I'm sorry for the breath. Still living with it. At that time, it was completely acting because we had a conversation earlier about targeting you. I still did feel at that time that it was me. I felt that you were lying to me because I'd started to see that you were lying or throwing out different names to other people. So I was, of course, tabling it in case that you weren't lying, but I couldn't cut out Gracie just yet because Gracie was pivotal to my game. And it was hard to see what was going to be the correct move because there were too many connections everywhere. And I was afraid to make a huge move at that moment because the heat was already so much on me that if I made it even hotter, I was for sure going to be the next person to go.
Did you really think the heat was on you? Was my other
I
question.
did. I totally. If we went to tribal council right after Rachel won immunity, I do think that I would have been going. Whether or not that's the case, I don't know, but I do think that was the case.
It was.
Anthony, I have a
Yes.
different question for you. There tends to be kind of two different types of people that play this game and two different strategies that people take. Were you a hero or a villain, and why?
Wow. I don't know if it's that cut and dry. If I had to pick between them, I'd say to maybe some I'm more of a villain, but I think I trend more towards hero. I'd say hero because I think I don't think I played scummy or anything like that. I don't think nothing I did was personal. I didn't make any scummy moves. I think when it was at Final 7 and I was the one blue left, I think it was a good hero-ish story that I was able to persevere and get to the Final 2. I think that's kind of hero-ish. If I was a dick, I think it wouldn't be, but I think I'm as nice of a guy as I can be. And I think that plays a lot into hero versus villain because you don't often have super nice people be villains. It happens, but again, I didn't do things out of like spite or like do anything crazy like that. My moves
So you're
were...
going hero.
Say that again. I'm gonna go hero.
Okay.
David?
Survivor's a game of adaptability. So what was your strategy coming into this game, and then how did you adapt or evolve your strategy during the game?
My strategy going in, I've never been so nervous coming into something. I didn't think I would be, because I started thinking about what my strategy would be, and one, you can't really plan that because you got to see who's around you first. I know generally in a situation like this, I'm going to be seen as somewhat of a physical appearing threat, and then you could see what happens, I guess. So my strategy was kind of what I guess I sort of touched on this in my intro, was to appear more aloof and sort of not like, how do I phrase this? Not like super savvy strategically when it came to what strategy. So my goal was to just be comic relief, which I think I was that role somewhat, at least a chunk of it in our original group. And my other strategy coming in is just to be very personable and just not appear like my mind is always running with crazy paranoia or stuff like that. So when people approach me for the first few times, I seem very level-headed of a player, so that's attractive to work with. But in terms of like, I'm gonna get an alliance of 4 or 5 or 3, I don't like to plan like that ahead. I like to see what the game brings me and see how I mesh with people before I even start thinking about stuff like that. So there's more like cerebral thoughts like that.
I think going into this game, the biggest thing that I had at the top of my mind was to be adaptable. The beautiful thing about Survivor is that you never know how it's going to turn out because it all depends on the people that you're with. And I think my whole game was adaptability. I was never at the forefront of anything because I didn't get the chance to. I was, more of an underdog in this whole scenario. I was a target a bunch, and I had to adapt as best as I could to different people. I mean, I didn't have super deep strategic connections with everybody. The way we started this game was we had 2 days with the same people. And we had such strong bonds with those people that it was hard to break out and completely put your trust in people you didn't know. In order to survive, you need to be able to read the room and read the scenarios. And I've been able to adapt from every single vote out with the new mix of people. And the end of the game got muddy, you know, and there was, as the tribal colors began to blend, you might have your tried and true people, but are they truly with you? Are they going to backstab you? Are you willing to work with more people? I think you had to have been adaptable to sit here, because the game naturally breeds it. And I think my game was completely about adaptability because I didn't have anything flashy to sit behind.
Brandon?
All right, hey guys. As I
Lost a
sit
lot of
here with
weight.
the former version of myself, we got a couple questions for you. So I'm going to start with you, Louie. If you could describe the narrative of this season, where do you think you would fall into it?
I mean, that's tricky because I've watched the season from my narrative. I would say, looking at the end result here.
Yeah, very meta.
Yeah.
Think about it in a meta as you can.
I mean,
obviously.
just within here, this feels a very David versus Goliath scenario, right? I was somebody who never really had a whole ton of power or obvious power, I should say, in the game, right? I mean, I didn't have any of the things that people did. People made great moves in this game, and I unfortunately wasn't somebody who was able to make one of those big risky moves because I didn't have that. And Anthony, you know, played a very different game than I did. You know, he was very physical, and you know, he won how many? Four immunities in a row, and like, you're able to play a little more loose when you know you're not going home. I got votes every single round for, like, I think all day I got votes. And for me, it was a David versus Goliath story because I think almost everyone was expecting me at some point to be the person that would go. So I would say David versus Goliath is how I feel this season went.
All right. My question for you, Anthony, besides Sam, who was your easiest person to backstab and why?
It's not that people are easy to backstab. She wasn't easy to backstab.
Who was the easiest besides her, though?
The easiest to backstab, probably Justin, because only because I knew how much he was kind of going to town with. He made deals everywhere. Because I knew how much he was. I didn't know if he was actually loyal to, like, how loyal. I know you were at a level loyal to me, but I knew he had deals all over the map. I don't think there was a soul he didn't have a deal with, like, and was pushing. And as soon as I compared notes, I knew that for certain. But I knew anyway, and he was such a big threat. I hope he wouldn't take it personally because he knew he was a big threat. You knew, like, he was probably like, how have I not gotten out yet? And so it was more like proud and like, yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad when I do that to people. But I know they know it's a game. If they don't get that it's a game and it's not personal, then they're probably we probably wouldn't be friends anyway outside of this. You know what I mean? So.
Thanks, man.
Bobby. So I'm going to ask my questions both of you individually, but it is the same question. So as Rachel mentioned, you both talked about how you're super amazing and tried to peel back some of your bigger attributes.
You didn't say super amazing.
He wants to say it.
So Anthony, so you mentioned that obviously you're a 6'3" athletic competition beast. You said that you are comic relief, and we already talked about adaptability. Aside from those, what would you say is your strongest attribute, and how did that help your game?
I think my strongest attribute is I'm able to, I think anyway, I hope, just from experience, I think I'm able to appear very genuine when I'm talking strategy when I'm like proposing, like, hey, let's work together, whether I mean it or not. I mean, at a certain level I usually mean it, but sometimes it's complete air. But I think I'm able to read the other person I'm talking to and talk to them how I think they want to be approached and what I think makes sense for their game. And I think I'm good at sensing how they feel about their game at the moment and what kind of, if I'm approaching them with a move, what kind of move makes sense. So I think when I had conversations like that, I think I was above average at kind of initiating and engaging those conversations. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Louie, you're a 6'3" athletic competition beast. No. So you mentioned that you're a big personality, and obviously you really focused on your social game, how you peeled that back, how you peeled back your competition. And again, no adaptability, but aside from those, what would you say is your strongest attribute and how did that help your game?
I would say my biggest skill was observation. I mean, outside of this game, I work in casting, and I observe every day. I'm observing people constantly. And it's a skill I knew that I could come in with and use as a last, continuously, but as a resort to get myself information if information wasn't getting to me. And this game, not a lot of information came to me by way of just myself. I had to observe through other conversations and people, or maybe what somebody was putting in their bag, or if somebody left, something behind, or if they were walking in front of someone or behind somebody. I had to gather clues to help me make decisions in this game. So I would say observation was my best key.
All right, jury, thank you. It's now time to vote. Just to be clear, we're voting for a winner, either Louie or
Not
Anthony. So let's get to the vote. Justin, you're up.
Sorry.
Travis? Crazy?
It's not the first time I've written down your name. It's been fun strategizing with you, and I really respect your game.
Go ahead, Us.
I came in here thinking I was going to vote one way, but the confidence with which you spoke won me over.
Go ahead, Julie.
Congrats, Louie. You totally got this in the bag. Way to go, playing an awesome game, making it to the end, acting your way through this game.
Well, the discussion at Final Tribals may have made me regret saying that I would go to Rocks for you, but it definitely will not make me regret voting for you to win. You deserve it, and you're a good dude.
This time. All right, here we go.
Anthony, I think you covered all your bases really well, and when you spoke about how genuine you were, that really spoke to me. I only knew you for like one night, but even the one night that we talked, I did feel like I made a friend out of you. So, hope it goes your way, buddy. Congrats.
Congrats, man. You definitely played a more well-rounded game. I don't know if I necessarily agreed with everything you said in terms of the moves that you made and all that, but compared to Louie, overall you played a better game, so congrats.
Thanks to Bryce. This guy's been great the whole weekend, okay? All right, for the final time, I'll tally the votes. All right, before we get to the votes, I want to let you see what you're playing for, of course. So, Ian, can you bring out the 2019 Cobster? All right, let's get to it. It's the one time you want to see your name coming out of the urn. First vote, Anthony.
All right.
Anthony. Louie. Anthony. Louie. 2 votes Anthony, 2 votes Louie. Anthony. Louie. 3 votes Anthony, 3 votes Louie. Anthony. Louie. Why not? One more time, right? Anthony. Winner of Survival Challenge 2019.